Hello, my name is Madison Leiby, and for this assignment, we had to choose a historical fiction book. So I chose the book I Survived the Nazi Invasion of 1944 by Lauren Tarshish. Personally, I loved this book so much. I thought it was a really good informational book. It's a really good perspective book. I enjoyed this series when I was a kid. I was very intrigued by history, so I think it was definitely a good book choice. So, for the summary for this book, it basically starts out with a little boy named Max, and his sister Zena, and they are abandoned by their family because their father is taken hostage by the Nazis, and they don't have any family left, so they're on their own, and they're scrounging for food and trying to stay alive and trying not to get caught. So they're going and walking around, and then they run into these Nazi soldiers and they fear for their life and they run into the forest, and they eventually, the main character Max actually gets caught by one of the soldiers but ends up getting away, and he goes to he finds a safe camp where a whole bunch of other, um, just people that are like him that aren't the Nazis and that are trying to get away from the Nazis as well. They are also hiding out in this camp, and someone is hiding them. And so in this camp, they find that their Aunt Hannah is there. And so they link up with their Aunt Hannah, and they travel and try to get away and free from the Nazis and try not to get caught throughout this entire book. And in this book, it gives just in great detail about just all the details and the tragedy they went through. The forest that they were running through actually ended up getting bombed by the Nazis, and so she writes a little bit about that in the book. She writes about how like they're feeling during the bombing and what all the emotions they're feeling, and she also Max ends up getting shot in the book. So just a kid. If you're a kid reading this book, it's just kind of shocking. But Max ends up getting shot, and then a couple days later, he comes to his memory and starts remembering stuff again, and is eventually healed. And then they start running from the Nazis again and trying not to get caught, just trying to get free. And then they end up running into their father, which is an amazing emotional connection to the book. And then their father and Max and Xena end up going to America to live a free life. So that was basically the gist of this book. It's really just about two kids running away from the Nazis, and they're trying their best to stay alive. And it's a really cool kid perspective because none of the kids that we have in the classroom have any idea about this, or have little knowledge about what actually happened. So it's just a really good connection and an informational book that they can learn about. So in this book, they have a ton of really good pictures as well. There's one where Max gets shot, and another one is them going through the forest and having to climb and go through the river. And then another one is just, again, a forest problem that they had, running from the Nazis. So it was a really good book. Highly recommend. So for this little assignment that I would like for the kids to do, I kind of regret choosing it in some way because I thought that this book was going to be more date given, so I chose a timeline. So I ended up just making a timeline of just the events that happened. So in the beginning, I wrote about Max and Xena. They were abandoned and running from the Nazi soldiers. And then they got away and they found their Aunt Hannah. So I drew a picture of them hugging and bonding again. And then they ran through the forest with Hannah and their friends, and Hannah's friends trying to get free. The forest was being bombed by the Nazis. So I drew a little bomb. Max was shot. They found their father, so I drew a little heart. And then they fled to America to live a happy life. That was my timeline. Again, I would not have chosen this if I would have read the book beforehand, just because I think there's different and better activities that you could do with the book. But I did not want to change my topic or assignment last minute, so I just went ahead and went with it. For this assignment, though, I would like for the kids to at least do 5 or 6 main things that they took away from the book. And then I'd also like to I'd like for them to draw a picture or two that reminded them of what like that little scene was about, or something that represented what went on in that scene. So that is it for my project. I hope you guys like the book. Again, highly recommend. This whole series is just amazing. In the back of the book, she has a ton of other books, like I Survived 9/11, I Survived Hurricane Katrina, I Survived the Titanic attack. Again, a whole bunch of great other books. And also, I wanted to point out in the back of this book that she ends up giving a timeline of the Holocaust and World War II, which I thought was really cool. So it's also another timeline thing that the kids could get from it. Super fun, really good resource. Again, hope you guys like the book. I really liked it. So thank you all for listening.